Hi there. Welcome, everyone. It is so delightful to be joining you here today. I am from the Science World. My name is Brian. It is so fantastic to see and hear about so many fabulous people joining us today. I know we've got a lot of classes joining us today. If you want to have your teacher or any nominated person respond in the chat, we have opportunities throughout the show where we'll be asking you questions, where you can predict, you can respond, you can show the kind of things that you're interested in that you want to share with us. I did want to begin by gratefully acknowledging Science World is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples in the village site of Sinnock. And we really encourage you all to learn more about the traditional territories that you work and play on, and the caretakers who've been looking after them for so many years. If you did want to share in the chat where you are joining us from, which school or which city or town you are nearby, I know we have people from the registrations from all across British Columbia, and in fact, all across Canada. I saw Quesnel was in there. We have Midway. We have someone from Vernon who's reporting, and then people from Toronto and other parts of Ontario. So welcome. Welcome to the Geodesic Dome here at Science World. I wanted to introduce some of the other people who are working with us here today. I am not doing the show alone. We have the amazing Josh. Hey, Josh.
Hello, everybody. Hi to those of you at home joining us from wherever you are. Not just in BC, I hear.
Excellent. We also have Madeline, who is making all the wonderful camera changes and beautiful transitions happen. And Fabio, who is monitoring the chat and responding to you all. This is actually our first time appearing on 2 platforms at the same time. So we're joining you on Facebook and YouTube. It's exciting to see there. Fabio, do we have any responses of where people are joining us from? Nelson, BC. North Vancouver. Coquitlam. Pitt Meadows. Awesome. Great to have so many of you here. I was actually speaking. There's a wonderful mathematician who lives in Nelson who does wonderful visits to schools for us through our Scientists and Innovators in the Schools program. All right. We wanted to show you today some cool Science World things. Some of the things are things that are kind of big and explodey that we do here at the building. Some of the things are things that you can try in your own homes. And we wanted to start with one of those. Josh, you have something that people can build or try?
That is absolutely correct there, Brian. Well, let me pull it out into full view here on this table. Perhaps you've seen one of these before, or perhaps you have them at home. You can actually create one of your own, as you can see right over here. All you need are 2 pop bottles, 2-liter pop bottles, filled with liquid in one. You don't have to fill it up completely. And then you have to wrap them together with a whole bunch of duct tape. And when I say a lot of duct tape, you got to use a lot of duct tape. Otherwise, things are going to start leaking out. You also want to make sure that there are some washers in between the mouths or the necks of these bottles. And that's because we want to have a small opening, a smaller opening than the bottle's opening here. Now, throughout our show, I want you to make predictions based on what you think is going to happen. So I've got a bottle here, this lovely little thing with water in it. Now, there's not just water in there. Think about what else might be inside this bottle. I'm going to turn it upside down. And I want you to observe what's going on here. It seems to me like the water is moving down from the top of the bottle to the bottom bottle here ever so slowly. And there's something kind of in the way of the water. Can you figure out what that might be? Maybe put it into the chat and tell us what you think might be interfering with the water making its way down into the bottle, the bottom of the bottle, I should say, from the top to the bottom.
Excellent. Fabio, if you see any interesting answers there, feel free to pop them up on the feed. You can let us know about those as well. So something is keeping the water from going down.
It's sort of letting it pass, but also sort of blocking it at the same time. It's in there. And that answer is, and I have a feeling that there are probably people out in the comments who have said it, it's air. Air's in there. And it's kind of blocking water from falling into the bottom bottle here. Now, I am going to do something here that you've probably seen before. I'm going to give this bottle a nice little whirl. take a look at what happens now. It appears to me like the water is moving a lot faster and more efficiently. Well, when we do that, what we're doing here is we're kind of using a force that you're probably aware of called gravity. It pulls the water down, but as it's spinning, it creates a lovely column as it's spinning that allows the airflow to kind of go up and down really efficiently. And the water also goes down very efficiently. We call that a vortex. I'm going to do it again with all the water now in one bottle. And I'll show you that simply spinning it around like so allows the water to flow down from the top bottle to the bottom bottle. It's very nice and relaxing to look at.
Nice. Madeline and Fabio, did we have any answers, any predictions coming in about what people thought?
Yeah, food has air directly.
Air, nice.
Needed duct tape.
Ah, duct tape are the things that you actually use to make it. That's a great thing to keep in mind. Sometimes when you're troubleshooting any kind of engineering or building project, it can be some of the things you've had there. All right, I have a prediction for all of you now, or something else you can put in the chat. I'm going to let you know I have a superpower, and I want you to look at me. I want you to think of all the things we've seen here, and with your class or with whoever's typing in there, if you have a prediction about what my superpower might be. Now, I will let you know, some of the explanation I'm about to provide for you may not be 100% entirely correct. So I'm going to rely on you to see if you can give predictions about what really is going on here. Now, we recognize, because some of you are watching on Facebook, because you're watching on YouTube, there's a little bit of a delay between when our broadcast comes out and some of your comments come back. So I want to give you time to give your predictions, because I'm very curious. What do you think? Any predictions about my superpowers coming through just yet?
Somebody asked if it was your brain.
Is it my brain? I wish it was my brain. Although, I do have a semantic superpower. Because my name is Brian, very frequently people will misspell it as brain, and that makes me feel very clever. All right, I'm going to show you a little bit about my superpower using this big pop bottle. Again, we love to make things to upcycle things. And if you look closely inside here, in fact, let me go to our double view here, Madeline. I'm going to show there. There's a little bit of me, a little bit of that. Inside here, there's a little tube. It's actually from something called a pipette they use for sciencey things to squeeze, and it's like a big turkey baster, or actually a really little turkey baster. But if you look closely, you'll see there's some weight, there's some water in there, and there's some air. Now, here's what I will tell you my superpower is. I can make this little thing move with the power of my mind. Now watch, if I just look at it, if I just think the word down, 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 it begins to move down. And if I think the word up, 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 it begins to go up. Down, hover, hover, hover. I don't know how many of you have access to emoji sort of things there. If you wanted to give a thumbs up, if you think I'm actually doing this with my mind, or a thumbs down. If you think not, you can even give a thumbs up or thumbs down vote in your class as you go here. Who believes I truly have the superpower to make things move with my mind? All right, while we're looking at that again with our delay, I'm going to check back in. Were there any other predictions about my actual superpower that came through? Supervision, excellent. Feel free to pop some of those up on the feed. I would love people to know about my supervision. Also, for those who are watching us after the fact, this is of course going out live now, but this will be available to watch on our YouTube channel. Feel free to put your predictions in the comments down below. All right, any other superpowers coming through? Hypnotizing. Ooh. All right, let me try that. Hypnotizing. Whoa. You will enjoy your summer. You will send ice cream to Science World, care of Brian Anderson. All right. Was there any feedback on whether Brian actually has the superpower to make this move with his mind? All right, I'll give you this much. It is not my mind that is making this move. But if you have a prediction about what is actually making it go up and down, you can maybe put that in. Now, I want to show as well, in addition to being kind of a fun thing using a pop bottle here, we have this leftover pipette that we find works nicely there, but there's other ways you can make this. This is one of my favorite. You can see I've been using this for a long time. The water's even got a little bit of oxidation inside. And for this one, if If I flip it around, all I've used is a vinegar package. So I actually went to a restaurant. I can't remember if it was a McDonald's or an A&W or something. I got an extra packet of vinegar. There's some little paper clips attached to the bottom because you want to have just the right weight, not too heavy and not too light. But the most important thing, and this is a bit of a clue to what happened before too, the little pipette thing and the little vinegar packet both have a little bit of space at the top where there is some air. All right, have any predictions come in? Anything interesting about what is making this go up and down? Buoyancy. That is a great way to describe it. Yes, because of that little pocket of air. The key here is not that I'm thinking about it, but that I'm squeezing. Because when I squeeze the outside of the bottle, that pocket of air gets smaller, which means the whole thing gets less buoyant. It's not able to float as well. If you've ever been in a pool with a beach ball or something, try to hold it under the water, the bigger the beach ball, the harder it is to get under the water. The force pushing up is equivalent to a beach ball full of water. And here, if I make the pocket smaller, we can go down and up. So a simple thing that you can make and try that out at home. Right now, I want to throw back over to Josh. You have something to show us.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, and it looks to me like we are continuing on a theme of recycled 2-liter bottles, because I've got another one right over here with me. And I'm going to do a particular demonstration here for you, and it's going to move really, really fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to get you to put in your predictions, all right? So I've got this seemingly empty 2-liter bottle, but actually we know, as you've seen from our first demonstration, that it's filled with air. I'm going to put a small amount, this is something I'm going to do right now, a small amount of isopropanol. It's actually something that you probably find in your, you have in your cabinets at home, your medicine cabinet, that you use for cuts and bruises and such things like that. You know, whenever you have owies. I'm going to coat the inside of this bottle with that isopropanol. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce some extra air into it. So we already have a bottle that's filled with air. And right over here, I've got an air pump. I'm going to put it on the ground just because it's easier for me to pump with my foot on it. But I'm going to put the end over here, and I'm going to pump about maybe 5 pumps of air and then lift the little plug here very suddenly. I want you to predict what you think is going to happen based on what you see and observe and based on what I'm telling you. All right? I know that we're a little bit on a delay because the wonders of technology do that to us sometimes. So I'm going to get myself set up here with my goggles on while you all type your answers and we solicit responses. I'm wearing these goggles just in the event that something happens. I don't want to hurt myself for safety's sake. All right. So based on what I've said and what I'm about to do, what do we think is going to happen? Do we have any responses from the socials there, Fabio or Madeline?
It seems to explode.
I can guarantee you that it won't explode. Only because we have a lot of equipment here that we don't want to harm.
It's not going to explode again this time.
Yeah, I can guarantee you that. Any other predictions?
In one of our schools, they say the bottle will expand or deform.
Oh, the bottle will expand or deform. That's a great idea. All right. Shall we find out together? I think we shall. So, as I pump air inside this bottle here and introduce more air into this already filled bottle, there's increased pressure. But when I increase the pressure, I also increase the temperature. So the inside of the bottle gets just very little bit warmer than before. When I suddenly release this, I'll put in another pump of air just for good luck. And let go. Oh, you know what? It might be because I didn't put this in very nicely. So let's repeat that again. All right, I got to make sure that seal is nice and tight. And let go. Oh, you know what? Sometimes practicing beforehand might work. Let's do this one final time and see if this works.
So here we're evaporating, and we're going to try and do some condensation.
Maybe I just need to put a lot of pumps into this, and it will really work this time. There we are. So that sudden drop, sudden change in pressure also resulting in a sudden change in temperature, results in this beautiful cloud in a bottle. I like to also call it a ghost in a bottle because I can release the ghost out into Science World and it disappears. And now it is in our studio forever. Passing it over to you, Brian.
Nice. Thank you so much, Josh. We've shown you a couple of things with these pop bottles that you can try at home. You can guess we drink a lot of soda here at Science World. We enjoy our beverages. But I have one I'm going to show you right now. This is a recording because we can't actually do it in our studio. You talked about things blowing up before. Don't try this one at home. We want to show you what happens if you increase that pressure and treat the pop bottle kind of like a balloon. If you've ever blown and blown and blown and blown up until a balloon will pop, imagine how much pressure it would take to make a pop bottle do that. It's used to holding the pressure of all of the soda inside. So have a look at this. Here is our video. What we're using here is a little bit of dry ice. Now, dry ice is the gas we breathe out frozen solid. It's very, very cold. You notice our presenter is very quickly juggling that in their hands. We're going to add some water to warm it up and turn it into a lot of gas. And you notice it's attached to a weight because we want the whole thing to be underwater. That goes over there. Ailish is going to run out of the way because that's what happens when the pop bottle bursts. All of that water, the whole barrel actually lifting right up the ground off the ground from the force of it. Here we actually put the camera in the barrel. This may not have been a good idea. I got a really cool slow motion shot there. But if you ever look at the unedited footage of that, there is that about 5 seconds of really cool slow motion happening. And then about 2 hours of the camera on the roof. And you can see in the background, little Science World people running around trying to find a ladder to get our camera off of the roof before. If you have any of these experiments that you want to try at home, please make a note of that in the chat. We have another one you can try very easily at home that Josh is going to show you right now. What have you got, Josh?
Yes, well, we are moving away from pop bottles now and moving away to sports balls. So as you can see, I've got this lovely basketball, and in my other hand, I've got a lovely tennis ball. There we are. All right. Now, I think you can probably tell that our basketball is bigger and probably a bit heavier than our tennis ball. All right. Now, with that information that I've given you, and also that background knowledge that you definitely have, that you know about these two types of balls, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to place this tennis ball on top of this basketball. I'm going to drop this basketball onto the table. And obviously, we know that the basketball is going to bounce down, hit the table, and bounce back up. But let's be reminded that there is a tennis ball in place. So what will happen? What do you predict will happen when the basketball is dropped, bounces against the table, and bounces back up and goes in contact with our tennis ball? What do you think is going to happen? So I'm going to hold it like this. Maybe I'll freeze for a bit while you give me your predictions.
I'm a little terrified because I'm sitting very close to it here.
Duck, Brian, is what I'm going to tell you. All right. Do we have any predictions so far from our classes and people on the internets?
Tennis ball's going to bounce up.
The tennis ball is going to bounce up. Yeah, that seems about right. Anybody else? The tennis ball will fly. Ooh. I would love to see it gain wings and just flutter all over the studio. All right, let's find out here together. Now, I'm just making sure that I am aiming for an open space here in our studio that has no equipment and especially no people. All right, this looks about right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh yeah, did that tennis ball ever fly? Now, let me explain what was going on over there. And if you said that the tennis ball flew or would be jettisoned off somewhere else in the room, you're absolutely right. Here we have a demonstration of something we call the law of the conservation of momentum, which states that momentum is never gained or lost. Instead, it is simply transferred. Now, we have this big basketball here. it has a bigger mass than our tennis ball. And so when it transfers its momentum by touching that tennis ball, that particular tennis ball takes its momentum. But because it's a smaller massed ball, it has to also increase its speed. Mass and speed play a big part in momentum. So because this big ball transferred its momentum to that much smaller or much lighter tennis ball, it has to move really fast and increase its speed due to that law of the conservation of momentum. And there you have it. Something you can try at home with a basketball and a tennis ball. Just make sure, again, you are in an open space and that you are not aiming at people or things. That's you, Brian.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. That was really cool. I'll tell you, the first time I tried doing this demonstration, what Josh was showing, and it doesn't have to be a tennis ball and a basketball. You can use soccer ball, little bouncy ball, ping pong ball, as long as they're two different sized balls. I was very curious about what would happen. I wasn't maybe thinking too far ahead. So I took the two and I dropped them right in front of me, so my face was right over top as it went down. You can share with your neighbors in class or in your house or in the chat what you think might have happened there. I want to show you something else doing some collisions. I also want to acknowledge that we have some families joining us from home. So in addition to all of our schools, welcome to all of our families watching from home. Great to have you there. Welcome to any families watching this on the recording afterwards. And particularly, we wanted to welcome, we have a couple of schools who are able to join us live on the feed here. I don't know, we were having a little bit of a microphone issue before, but I wanted to check. Lions Bay Elementary, are you there? Are you able to speak? Not to worry if not, we have you on a direct chat coming back and forth here. I wanted to welcome Ms. Menzies and all the students from Lions Bay Elementary. And I want to show you what I have for you. Kind of like what Josh was showing, but a little more intense. Can we go to our double camera here again? We're looking at, oh, actually, ignore the barbecue lighters. There may be something with a lot of fire happening later in the show, but that's not what is supposed to be there. What is, oh, they're still. Nothing to see over here. Pay attention only to these. Some of you might have encountered one of these before. This is actually a fun demonstration for looking at how we transfer momentum, types of motion, from one thing to another. It was actually named after a famous scientist called Isaac Newton. They call this a Newton's Cradle. Okay. I'm maybe not going to be able to catch up with your predictions, but I still would love you to put them in the chat or talk with the people you're around there. I want you to make this prediction. If I have 4 big heavy balls here, and I take one ball on this side, one ball whacking into 4 of them, what is your prediction? How many are going to come over on the other side? All right. I'll let those go, and I'm going to build the dramatic tension here. And one ball in, one ball out. Okay, slide this back out of the way. Next one we want to try is this. If we take 2 balls in, how many balls do you think are going to come out on the other side? And again, you can tell me on the chat. You can share with the class around you. You can hold up the number of fingers you think it's going to be. All right, 2 balls in. 2 balls out. All right, nicely done, school. Here's where it starts to get a little bit tricky. Here's where we start to mess with your brains a little. 3 balls are going in, but there's only 2 balls left. Now, I would love to hear from our Lions Bay students. We have a little chat set up with you, okay? If 3 balls come in, how many balls are going to come out when there's only 2 balls left? All right, I'll give you a moment to consult amongst the class there. If you're not with Lions Bay, you can consult with whatever class you're with out there. I believe we've got about 200 different people watching today, different screens logged in.
Lions Bay says 1.
1, interesting. So 3 coming in, maybe 1 is going to come out a lot faster. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. 3 balls in, 3 balls out. One of them just keeps on going. Now, momentum depends on 2 things. It depends on how big the object is, how heavy or how much mass it has, and how fast it's going. So when we had our 2 balls, it's true. We could have had 2 balls in, 2 balls out, or could have had 1 ball out twice as fast. Both of them would agree with the math there. Here, one of the balls just keeps coming through. 3 balls in, 3 balls out. I've had people look at this and say, how do the balls know? It's not anything that they're predicting that way. It's just the way that the physics go. Okay, Quickly, we said 1 ball in, 1 ball out, 2 balls in, 2 balls out, 3 balls in, 3 balls out. Lions Bay, 4 balls in. What do you think? How many coming out? Let that build for a moment. 4 balls in. I'm going to give it away. 4 balls out. And if you want to get very metaphysical, 5 balls in, 5 balls out. What? Okay. This is the one that I really wanted to have someone who was directly connected. So thank you very much, Ms. Mendy's class and all the folks on Lions Bay, because now we get to the advanced version. This time, collision happening in 2 directions at the same time. 3 balls will be coming this way at the same time as 2 balls will be going that way. So, what is your prediction about how many balls will be traveling in each direction after the collision? If we start with 3 coming this way and 2 going that way. All right. How many are going each direction after they collide? We start with 3 going to I'm trying to see on my screen here, to my left, and 2 going to my right. How many will go in each direction? Any thoughts from our Lions Bay folks? No thoughts there. That's okay. This was a kind of an interesting prediction-y one. So I just want to show you. 3 in, 2 in, and it actually transfers right across the middle. 3 balls in, 3 balls out, 2 balls in, 2 balls out. One last thing I want to show you. This is a fun variation here that I just think looks really, really pretty. This looks kind of like our Newton's Cradle, but there's something a little bit different. I'll see if I can show you on the camera there. If you look carefully, you'll notice each of these little pendulums is a different length. They go from very, very short on this side to longer, longer, longer down here. I'm going to try to move our camera so we can see this a little bit more from on top. Because what I find looks really pretty here, I'm going to try with my arm to launch them all at about the same time. So we start them all going out and let them start swinging. But you'll notice the longer the pendulum is, the longer time it takes, the shorter the swing or the period is. And it makes this beautiful wave shape going back and forth, a wave pendulum. So yeah, this is something I've always wanted to build at home, just taking all these strings, one a little bit longer, a little bit longer, a little bit longer, and get this beautiful wave effect. All right, Josh, I think you are ready to make people's brains work a little bit here.
Yeah.
Oh, as you go, I just want to say one more big thank you to all of our friends from Lions Bay. Thank you for joining me in on things. Sorry, Josh, we'll take it back over to you.
No, thank you very much, Lions Bay. Thank you for joining us. We really, really appreciate you being great participants. Well, I am going to do something here with you. I want to see if you can do this particular skill. I think you can. Can you read?
Do you want me to scroll that in?
Not quite yet. Yeah. I want to see if you can read. Yeah, I know. All right. I've got a list of words right over here, and I want you to read them as soon as I put my finger next to them. All right? And I will read them along with you. Are you ready? Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Red, green, blue, purple, yellow, orange, black, brown, pink, red, yellow, blue, black, green, orange, purple. How many of you read through that pretty well? I'm almost certain that probably 100% of you did. Let's go faster then. Are you ready? Here we go. Counting backwards from 3, 2, 1. Red, green, blue, purple, yellow, orange, black, brown, pink, red, yellow, blue, black, green, orange, purple. Well done. Well done. If you thought that was hard, well, we're going to make it a little bit harder now. All right. Here we go. Here's level 2 of our test. Can you identify colors? Now, some of you are probably going to yourselves, Josh, that is so easy. Easy. Colors, identifying colors are easy. Well, let's see how well you do. All right, here we go. Identify the color. And we're going to go at that pace that we did earlier, that second faster pace. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Red, green, blue, purple, yellow, orange, black, brown, pink, red, yellow, blue, black, green, orange, purple. How many of you did pretty well? How have they been doing so far? I'm just curious. Have any of them sent any comments as to how they did? Were they all struggling, or were they all passing with flying colors?
This one hurts my brain a lot. This one hurts my Brian.
It hurts, yeah. I think Brian's brain, or brain's Brian is hurting. Well, I'm sorry, Brian's brain. We're going to level 3 right now. Here we go. Okay. Wow. If you thought reading words was easy, and if you thought identifying colors is easy, well, let's try this one here. I have a series of words over here, but what I want you to do is not read the words. I want you to read the color, or say the color of the words that they're printed in. So in instance, this is not to be pronounced as red. You are to say blue. This is not green. You are to say red. All right? So I'm not giving you time to prepare. We're going to go straight into it head on. Here we go. And we're going to go at that fast speed there because, you know, you passed level 1 and level 2 with flying colors. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Blue, red, green, yellow, blue, black, green, blue, red, green. Even I'm struggling. Red, brown, pink, yellow, whatever that color is, orange and black and green. How many of you struggled like I did there?
Feel
How
free if
many
you
of
can
your
find
Brian brains hurts?
you can find a good brain emoji, put it in the
Yeah,
chat.
we'd love to see some brain emojis or some frazzled emojis there on the socials. Well, what's going on? Why are you not able to identify these colors? Well, here's what's going on here. The first thing usually children or you probably are able to identify are colors. All right? Right after that, you learn how to read. As you learn how to read, your ability to read kind of usurps your ability to identify colors when they're kind of presented to you at the same time. So you're more inclined to read the word as red than to identify the color that text that says red in as blue. So that's why you were or more like unable to be able to do this very easily.
Now, Josh, we had an idea for an experiment we wanted to try with one of our other classes who's joining us online. Can we bring them into the feed here? I think we have another class joining us. Hi, what is your name? Oh, are we there? Are we able to see and hear? Hey, everybody.
Hi, friends.
What school are you joining us from?
L'école des Aiglons in Squamish.
Ah, so this was, I think, your plan, Josh, because this is a francophone school? French speaking? Yes.
Yes.
All right, Josh, what is it that you would like them to try?
All right. I want to see whether or not saying the colors in your native tongue or in a different language than what you see right over here will help you go faster or slower in doing this level of our test. So for our Francophone students out there, or even for any French immersion students who might be joining us today, you do not say red. You do not say rouge. You say bleu. All right? And for those of you who speak another language at home, we encourage you to do this as well. If you speak another language with adults or with friends or other members of your family, we encourage you to try that at home. Instead of saying the color in English, say it in your native tongue.
So not the word, but the color in
say
your...
the color in your native tongue that isn't English. And let's see if you can get through that a lot faster. All right?
All right. Are you ready to try it with us?
I think we are. École des Aiglons, are you ready to go?
Oui.
Okay. Here we go. On va. And let's go.
Oh,
How did we do?
that was great. I would love to see in the chat from anyone across the province, across the country, if you tried that in a different language, if you found it easier or harder. We love to change variables, and we're really curious to see how this affects what we call the Stroop test.
Yes, and that's what science is all about, changing variables and seeing if things get better or worse or stay the same.
Nice.
And this is a fun test to play around with.
All right, we have a few more things we want to try here. I'm going to show you something else that you can try at home. Welcome back, everyone. I know we've got some of the pop bottle things we showed. We've got the bouncing the ball thing that you can try at home. This is the type of science that I used to love doing when I was a kid. Let's do our double shot here again, so I can show you a close-up here. Bubbles. If you like bubbles, put that in the chat somewhere. If you've made bubbles in a strange place sometime in your life, put that in the chat. If you've made bubbles with unusual things before as bubble wands, put that in the chat. That's something I love. I love to invent things. I love to experiment. This is a very simple way that you can make a bigger kind of bubble wand. Some of you might have seen something like this before. All I have is a couple of straws. You saw from my vinegar packet before. Anytime I go into a fast food restaurant, it's just science everywhere for me. So I got a couple of straws, and then there's a bit of string strung between them. Just tied like a knot. But when we do that, we can make a giant bubble wand, big bubble film coming on there, and hopefully swing that through the air to make nice big bubbles. I'm going to try again here. Sometimes squeezing the things together and then pulling it apart is an easier way to make the bubble film. Here we go. Big bubble. Poof. Yay. People ask about our bubble recipe here as well. I found one of the best bubble recipes. I remember it based on the calendar. Okay. And to do that, we're using soap. Dawn soap, I find, works really nicely for this. And in terms of the calendar, if you think of how many months there are in the year, there's 12 months going through. That's how much water you want. 1 part soap, 12 parts water. If you ever find that your bubble solution is not working or it's popping too fast, usually one of the best things to do is add more water rather than adding more soap. I have one other thing I want to show you how to make here. Okay. This, I was playing around, and you can take an old pop bottle. Okay. Oh, a little bit of product placement. We'll just change the brand name there. Very carefully, with an adult's help, we can cut off the bottom. And then I don't know if you ever find this, but when you put things into the laundry, socks, you don't always get the same number of socks back, odd numbers and even numbers. If you have a lone sock, you can cut off the end and pull that over the bottom. Now, the other thing about this, it works really well with a cloth sock or a cotton sock or a sock that is woven out of some fabric. I know some socks they're actually made out of, what is the name I'm looking for there? Like a fleece sort of fabric. And fleece fabric isn't always woven. And the key thing about being woven is if you look on the bottom, let's see if I can bring it in really close there. It's like little crisscrosses there where the threads intersect. Each of those is like a tiny little hole to make its own bubble wand. I'm going to dip this inside here. Because I'm sitting further away from Josh and Madeline, I'm actually going to be able to take my mask down for just a moment to show you here. But I want you to predict, if we blow in here, if we let the soap film come out the bottom of the sock, what kind of bubbles are we going to get? One giant bubble, some stringy out bubbles. What is it going to look like? I'm going to bring this up here a little bit. And here we go. So this is what we sometimes nickname a bubble snake. Every little hole there, making lots and lots and lots of little bubbles. And I have a big column of bubbles that I can try building things with. Josh, I hesitate to say this, but we had another thing we were going to try there. I think we're going to jump right to your flamey thing there, and I'm just going to show them a recording of that, just so we don't run out of time. So we talked about putting things in bubbles, putting air in bubbles. We're actually going to try putting people in bubbles. And I want to show you just a quick archive. This is a video that we had from about 10 years ago. Science World, at the time, was the place where they had put the most possible people inside a bubble at one time. A fabulous bubble artist named Fan Yang came here. Let me have a look. We'll show it to you now. Was a fun day. That was 181 people inside some giant bubbles. That's when I realized my job is fun and weird. Okay, two things we promised we were going to show you with a little bit of fire. So I'm going to start by putting something in a bubble here. I want you to notice I have my balloon on the side. And you might notice there's something a little bit interesting. If I try and push the balloon down, whoop, it pops back up again. So if that gives you a clue as to what might be inside of this balloon, you can put that in the chat, talk it over with your class there. What maybe is inside this balloon that comes back and forth like that? Over here, if I look on my little screen here, I'm going to go into our split zoom in one there. There we go. If I get this a little bit wet, that makes a surface where I can blow some bubbles and not have them pop. I'm going to use this to show a couple of fun things. One, actually, if I blow a bubble here, let's get a little bit of bubble soap. You'll notice sometimes we can make a bubble. Whoa. All right, doesn't want to make little ones there. We'll make just big ones coming up here. There is a bubble. Here is a bubble. And here's another bubble coming out. Something else you're going to find is the more you keep things wet when you're working with bubbles, the less likely they are to pop. I'm just going to make one big one there. Because do we have any predictions coming in about what might be inside of our balloon there? Helium? Yep, helium was a gas that is lighter than air. In fact, there is another gas that is lighter than air that has another property. It is very flammable. That is hydrogen. And that's what we have in here. And I'm going to try and prove that if it's helium, not much is going to happen. If it's hydrogen, interesting things will happen. Let me stress too, anytime you're doing things with fire, you want to make sure you have your safety gear standing by. I'm wearing my goggles. We have to be carefully trained for this. Let's get our bubble back in place there. Bubble! Flame! This is what I get to do for a living. All right. One more. 3, 2, 1. Ah! It got away on me. Hang on. 3, 2, 1. Whee! Some people have asked, when we've done this in the past, what would happen if you set fire to this whole balloon full of hydrogen? Josh?
Well, I am going to answer that question for you right now. I've got a balloon here filled with hydrogen gas. I've got equipment right over here that will allow our balloon to stand or to catch on fire. I've got Brian over here, my wonderful colleague, giving me the fire extinguisher in case anything goes wrong. And I'm looking up at my ceiling to make sure I am nowhere near a fire sprinkler because, believe me, we will all be crying if we get too close to a fire sprinkler. I've got my goggles here to protect me. I will warn you, what you're going to be seeing is not only going to be loud in our studios, but our microphones will catch it really well, so you will hear this. If you are a little bit loud sound averse, I recommend that you cover your ears. All right. So let's answer our question as to what would happen if we set our hydrogen balloon on fire right now. Here we go. All right. Do not do this at home, folks. Here we are. In 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Whoa. Beautiful bang. What a way to end the show on as well.
That was great, Josh. Thank you all so much. We have a few minutes if you have any questions. If you wanted to type them in the chat, any questions about anything that you've seen in the show today, or questions about things that are going on at Science World, we'd be happy to try and answer them for you. Also wanted to let you know if you're interested in trying some of these things. We showed you a whole bunch of fun things that you can try at home here. You could also visit our resources site at Science World. There is scienceworld.ca/resources. There's also a whole area called the Dome at Home, which shows you things you can try at home. And for anyone who registered for the event today, there will be an email coming out with a survey and all of those links. So if you're interested in being able to connect to some of those links, we'll be able to show them to you that way. All right. Fabio, did we have any questions popping up in our chats all around? Oh, nice. Glad you enjoyed it, everybody. Josh, why don't we get the two of us up here? What's your favorite part of the show?
I mean, I have to be blunt. It's the popping of the hydrogen balloon. Great way to end the bang. Great way to end the school year as well.
Yes, it's been an unusual year, and it's really exciting to be able to see more people here in person. But it's also been great for us to be able to see you through this internet like this. We've actually been visiting a lot of classes this past year. Josh, how many classes would you guess that you visited?
Oh, I have no idea. It's definitely more than the fingers on my hand.
All right, Josh or Madeline, do we have any questions? Anything anyone was curious about? Nothing there? That's all good. If you have any questions afterwards, you're always welcome to write to us at Science World, info@scienceworld.ca. We love hearing from you. Thank you again. Thank you to everyone watching at home. Thank you to everyone watching after the show. Be sure to check out scienceworld.ca/resources. In that survey, we'd love to hear from you more about what you're interested in seeing in future events. We love coming online and getting to visit classrooms and homes like this. You can let us know there. And if you're interested in other upcoming events, also in the link sending out there will be information about that. Thanks, everyone. I've been Brian.
Happy summer, everybody.
Happy summer. School's out.